Yeah, so if you recall, few sessions back, I discussed about the Graphene OS and the degoogling. So a few days back, I found this video. Some person has installed this in his system. So maybe you can just go through and see how it looks actually. I'll just play the video then.
Google is taken over my life.
Just a minute.
It has me on a leash. Google Maps basically raised me. My passwords, my maps, my calendars. If Google just disappeared, I'd basically just be homeless. But why do you think everything is free? That's because Google has everything about me. It knows what I'm doing, it knows what I'm buying, and the next day it's like, hey, do you want to buy this product that you definitely need? So I wanted to find out what would happen if I just cut the leash and ran into the wild and became a free man. I see people trying to de-Google their life, and I want to be one of those people because scientifically it will give me like 10 IQ and give me a happier life. But how inconvenient is this freedom, and is it even worth it? There's an operating system called Graphene OS, which is based on an open source version of Android, and it doesn't have Google breathing on your neck. No Play services, no Google apps, and no side quests just happening in your pockets. It's just a clean and private phone. Ironically, to de-Google your phone, you need to have a Google phone. Google is crying right now. So I picked up this Google 6A, which on a side note, it's a 4-year-old phone which I found £100 on eBay, and it's still getting the newest Android 17 beta. That's crazy. So let's try installing Graphene OS, because I've heard that it's supposed to be a lot easier than installing something like Lineage OS, and I'm kind of traumatized by that. And I'm getting an infinite boot loop. Really? What went wrong? Step 1, enabling OEM unlocking. Now that's enabled. The next step is to boot into the bootloader interface. Ooh, there you go. Unlock the bootloader to allow flashing the OS and firmware. Unlock the bootloader. Yes. So now it says device state unlocked. You need to obtain the Graphene OS factory images for your device to proceed with the installation process. Downloaded. Where? I don't know. Let's just click flash. Oh, wait, it's not doing anything. Oh, it is. Okay, now that the flashing is finished, it tells me to lock the bootloader. So volume down, lock bootloader, start. Your device is loading a different operating system. Okay, welcome to Graphene OS. Wait a second. So you're telling me this whole process, including downloading and installing, took me 15 minutes. Crazy. Straight after installing, I noticed that there's only 14 apps and they're all in black and white. And since there's no Google, every single app is a custom app, including the Play Store. And you might be thinking, stop the cap, this isn't the Play Store, because it has like 2 apps. And you might be right, because the actual Play Store is called a crescent? But then that also has only a few apps. So what the hell's going on? There is an app store within an app store, and there is still no app store. But then this guy on Reddit said that the app that he's using is called Obtainium, which sounds like some kind of a Minecraft ore, but I'm still gonna try it. Turns out it's not really an app store and it's completely empty, which at this point I knew this is gonna be a long day. Apparently this app gets the Android apps directly from the source, and you get auto updates, and there's no middleman mingling in between, so Google doesn't even know what you're downloading or what you're doing. So you can just search for an app and then select GitHub and it would just download the app. The to-go app store would have been F-Droid, but then even the Graphene OS developers said that there's some security risks, and obviously we don't need that, so that's why I'm downloading straight from the source. But wait a second, what if I need like a big app like Instagram that's not made by an indie developer? And for that, I need another app store. What's going on? How many app stores do I need? And this one is called Aurora, and the best part about it is that it's completely anonymous, so you don't even need a Google account. You just download anything and no one even knows who you are. As I was messing around, something prompted me to download Google Play services, and at this point I started sweating because screw you Google, I'm not downloading anything. But then I clicked it anyway. But then straight after, I felt so bad. I could feel something weird in my stomach. It felt like I just committed a sin. So I went back and just deleted the Google Play services. because apparently you can do that. But going back to the main quest, the Aurora store had all the big apps like Instagram, WhatsApp, and Discord, all completely anonymous. But to get the Aurora store, I had to get it from F-Droid, which I got from Obtainium, which found it on GitHub. What's going on? This is so confusing. To download this, you need to get it from here, and then as I was setting up Instagram, it sent me a code to my email, which made me realize Gmail is Google Mail, and I'm not allowed to use that. So how am I gonna send my email? And that's our first roadblock. And what do you mean Instagram needs access to my contacts? Who do you think you are? I ain't giving you anything. Location? Hell no. If I didn't have this sexy profile picture, you wouldn't even know what I look like. By the way, follow me on Instagram. I post like twice a year. Luckily, you can disable all the permissions, and Instagram only has access to the internet and to send me notifications, and you can do this for like any app. Oh, and the email. So here's the thing, you can't really do much about that. Yes, there are alternatives like Proton Mail, but for that, I'd have to make a new account. And if I sent an email to someone and the email doesn't end with google.com, I just look like a creep. So I guess I'm gonna be stuck with Google. I suppose you could forward the emails, but at that point I'm still using Google. So what's the point? Now here's the thing, I am super lazy. I don't even have a password manager. I literally just go to Google Keep, dump all my passwords there, and you might say, that's completely stupid and dangerous, and I'm gonna get hacked one day. And you're completely right. But in that case, I can just blame Google, cry a little bit, and just make a new account. It's free. So I found this app called Notesnook, and here's the thing, it has a browser version which I synced with my phone app, but the thing is, the free version only has like 50 megabytes, unless I get a membership. And at that point, I don't even know, do I pay the app or do I just let Google take my information? I could technically self-host using like a Raspberry Pi or something, but that just sounds like such a hassle. I'm definitely not doing that. Go ahead. Read what I'm writing, steal it, I don't care. And this is not just a me problem. I found this guy on Reddit and he shared his de-googling journey, and he couldn't even find like half the alternatives, like YouTube for example. The thing is, YouTube is linked to my Google account, so there's literally nothing that I can do about it. However, if you're not a YouTuber, there's an app called Tubely, which lets you watch YouTube without any ads, and you can even subscribe to people without logging in, which is pretty cool. But finding the alternatives is not even the end of this side quest, because actually having to use those apps is just as annoying. So like, a Google Maps alternative on Graphene OS is called Organic Maps, which at first didn't even find my location, including the weather app, until I left the building. But then again, when I got home, it couldn't even find me, so the GPS just sucks indoors. And then look, if I select point A to B, the public transport option just says what line to get, but that's it. There's nothing else, there's no details. There's no instructions. So I was like, screw this, let me just download the city mapper from Aurora store, which I use on my personal phone, but that app does not work unless I have Google Play services, so what am I supposed to do now? So then after a couple of days, I kind of just got fed up, because every time I needed a new app, I didn't know where to get it from. Do I get it from Obtainium? Do I get it from the Aurora store? Or do I get it from F-Droid, even though I'm not supposed to use it? And then this one time when I was trying to download VLC from Obtainium, it said that it couldn't find a suitable release from GitHub. Like, come on. In situations like these, I just wish I had one Play Store, just one place where I could download anything. And yeah, you could download something called the Sandboxed Play Store, which has a lot more restrictions, but at that point, it's like a vegan trying to eat fake meat. Like, at that point, just use the Play Store, just use all the Google services, or go all out and use nothing. And that's the problem. I value my convenience way more than my freedom. I'll literally get down on my knees and beg Google to take me back. Take the £2.50 that I pay for storage. Just let me use all the apps without any hassle. Take all my information, do whatever you want with it. Especially when I review a bunch of phones, I just want to log in into one account and I just want everything to work. That's not me saying that Graphene OS is bad. In fact, I really like this project, but I just don't think it's for everyone. I think most people just don't want to tinker with their phones. They just want it to work. But if you do want to tinker, Graphene OS has a bunch of cool features. So in the end, am I switching back to Google? Of course I am, because I'm lazy, but this was actually a fun test.
Yeah, so that was the video. It
Okay.
just pretty much of what we discussed last time as well. So as we saw, it has a lot of it has very minimal pre-installed applications, but there is a lot of confusion regarding the alternative app stores. Like there are multiple app stores. To get this app, you have to get it from this store. To get that one, from you have to move to something else. And also, I think he mentioned about the Gmail. So right now, we are heavily reliant on Gmail for a lot of our logins in different services. So if we truly want to stop using Google services, I think that is one big roadblock for most people. And at the end, I think most people will choose convenience over their own privacy and freedom. Mm, Don't you have anything to add here?
Yes. Like enslavement, that's the core thing about becoming a slave. Like uh, you will choose comfort over freedom. It reminded me of something. I don't know which movie it was. It's probably Avengers. But Loki said that. I don't know which movie it was, but it was Loki who said it. Like people are meant to be ruled. Like you are a species that are like meant to be ruled. You are not supposed to be a free species. So this shows that. I don't know, like you can't blame people, but at the same time, because you can't blame because it's so difficult to do the steps that is being shown there.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I
then
think
again, so
people definitely would choose privacy over like over sharing their data such so freely if the process was much simpler. It is not ultimately like people's full-time job is not to set up their phone all the time. They just want to buy a device that works and does whatever they want it to do. And the simplest way is to give away your data to the companies. And yeah, so it is you actually really cannot blame them because what alternative do you have?
yes, and even did even giving away your data would not have been a big problem if like ethical boundaries. I don't know what's the I think that's the correct word, maybe like some sort of
You are lagging a bit, I'm not sure.
dignity, but they are not going to do that. Can you hear me now?
I mean, it stops, then it starts again, then it stops. It's like that.
No. Okay. Let me see.
I don't know if it is my internet issue or yours.
Now yours is coming properly.
I can hear you. Maybe you can continue.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I've switched it. Now I'll also have to recharge. So what I was saying is that it would have been better, like giving away your data would not have been a big problem if the companies who are collecting this data are using it for using it with some dignity and some kind of ethical boundaries, but they are not doing it. They are trying their best to like make the most of it. That's one thing. So, but again, the technical part is also difficult. So, but at the same time, like actually very like there are certain one can minimize the use of a lot of other applications in phone, which is not very practical. Like I think the only practical things are something that you can call with, a messaging app, and the real useful things are things like map, which actually didn't work very properly, as he has shown.
Mm.
Like that is one of the most simple. He went through a long explanation about how to install Instagram on that. So that's not even an issue for me. I never use it, Instagram. But map is a very important like app. So it needs to be functioning very well, which unfortunately did not work there. So
Yeah.
that is something that's needed. But so apart from that, like as I said, like if you want to use Instagram or any other social media, like before smartphones, people used their computers, so you could just go there, use it, and then log off. But yes, so that could be the solution for most of the things. So like if you could wait a minute, just let me see how much data I have. Just 2 minutes, I'll recharge it. Otherwise, again. So what was I saying about? Let me see about no, not data packs. About using apps on phones.
Mm.
So I was saying that if you could start all over again, so because the th thing with smartphone, what happened was that it just came and people got used to. People didn't decide what to do with it. Like people were shown what to do with it. So one by one, like okay, now you have social media, now you have all of this, and now you can just and then the social media algorithms were like made addictive, and hence the smartphone became what it became. But initially, if you just look at it, if you just think of it as an accessory to laptop, then it can be a very useful one. Like you could think like, okay, I have a laptop, but the thing is that I can use laptop anywhere. But what if I have a smaller version of a laptop where I can use my map, use it to look at my map, to look at my messages, and so on. So from that point of view, it's very useful. But then if you add all those addictive algorithms, social media, then that's where it took the wrong turn. So through Graphene OS, you can actually the because it's difficult, you can actually get rid of those kind of things.
Mm.
But yes, the practical things like map that was the main issue for me in that video. Like those are the practical things which was not used.
Yeah, I think talking about social media and other addictive apps. So I think first step is the for the person to realize their own usage patterns and like have an agreement with themselves that they will do something to stop using it as much as before or whatever the reason, whatever the case is. So if someone, I think it is possible using just our regular phone itself to minimize the usage and stuff. We don't necessarily have to move to the extent of using Graphene OS for that. Because if someone is already thinking of, already in the mindset of using Graphene OS, they most likely have that much willpower to at least stop themselves from doom scrolling, at least for most of the time. Because the nature of these things are so addictive, they just and they just psychologically, let's say, manipulate you or attract you. Sometimes with even if you are 100% willpower, you cannot escape them all the time. But if on an average it is going down for you, then you can nothing do that with willpower itself. Mm. Other than that, yeah, that thing, I think there's no end to this discussion of convenience or like the over privacy and stuff. I think because the core model of how these businesses work is from our data. So they're monetizing our data through whatever ads or whatever the form is. That is usually their one of their core forms of revenue, is what I understand. So I don't see it going away, because of that reason is we have gotten this kind of technology and services at such cheaper, or like almost, let's say it's free, because we they are taking our data. If it was not going to be free and it was going to a premium service and stuff, maybe it would cost a lot more, and but then they could afford to not uh, get take our data, because then they will not need any advertisers. Right now they are getting the money from the advertisers, not from us. But if they took the money from us, then they wouldn't need our data. But then people don't want to pay, so you cannot have everything.
Yes, about that argument, like someone, like recently I found this one, like someone said that if big tech companies came into being 100 years ago, their business model would have been very different. At the same time, if electricity companies were invented right now, their business model would have been very different. So this even I can't, so off the top of my mind I can't think of any business model, but that's because we are so used to living in this era that we can't think of anything else. But in like I truly believe that there is some other realistic possibilities beyond exploiting people through advertisements. So like for example, in that code it was said that electricity is used as a utility. Like you have uh, certain amount, you have to pay electricity if someone can't afford electricity. For example, if you live in, for example, wherever I live, I don't pay electricity bills. Like it's included in my rent. So what if internet, actually, to be fair, internet is also included in my rent here. But and the thing is that every kind of this kind of things, like you don't have to, like for example, again, yeah, internet is within my rent, but at the same time they are not taking my data in exchange for giving me it for free. It is being given to me as a utility. So what if everything, this kind of things, government can turn take the initiative to turn it into an utility?
Mhm.
So the arguments are okay. If electricity was invented today, you'd have been looking at advertisements in a tube light. That is how they would have monetized electricity, because that's the only business model that we know. So that is how you would have used. But 100 years ago, that business model was not there. Like you want something, you pay it and you get it. And if you can't, there are government subsidies. If it's really important, government does that to it. So there
Mhm.
is no exploitation of people for some product or services. And people will, like in terms of including inflation, the average earnings of people are far less than what we earn right now. So people could still afford electricity or get subsidized. So to say that the only way to give services is to exploit people's data uh, is not should not be a argument. Like I mean, it should not be the only reason. People can do better. That's what I'm trying to say. You should, but the thing is that they will not do better. That's another thing. Like because they will think, okay, we have this money, we have a money machine, so why should we make the effort?
I mean, it's like also the probably the easiest way to make money, and also uh, the concept of supply and demand maybe comes here, because they don't have any incentive to change this, because people are accepting this. If people in large reject this, then they will not have any other option but to change. But since people don't seem to protest about this, other than few people in the tech community, maybe other people are like willingly not willing, maybe they are not even aware or they don't care, whatever. Like the he talked about convenience, it's fine for them. So that is why should Google change their
That is,
monetization model when it is working perfectly fine for them?
yes. And that is also where government actually comes into the picture. All this talk about like minimal government, minimal this, on the surface it sounds good, but the thing is like, wait a minute. Government is the representation of humans, like the general public. So if you're reducing the representation of public, it doesn't make sense. But the way they put all the slogans, minimum governance, maximum efficiency, something, all the kind of things, people don't even think about those things. Like that means you're reducing our own representation there. That means they will get these big tech companies, the people who are in power, they will have their say. And that's what's happening. That's the whole point of a government is to take the voices. Whoever is in charge of the government, they can uh, like make their voices heard. So now every time in the US, you can see every time along with the president, you have the CEOs of all those big tech companies around him. So it's very clear whose voices are being heard and whose voices are not being heard. So that's the thing. Like, okay, like if there's a if so they are trying to make it such that to promote their own business model, their own like own preferences, not what is good for people, like for the general public. So that's what's happening.
Mhm.
That's one thing. And another thing, which is unrelated to this, was the again coming back to social media and their usage. So I think so. I have come to this point that I have reduced this reliance on social media to a very large extent by using those or this kind of. I haven't de-googled, but I have removed all those social media feeds only by using all those mod apps and so on. So that has I've done tried to reverse the effects. But I got into it in the first place because I was introduced to it at a young and an immature age. I was in my early 20s probably, maybe 20, 21. But that's an age where you're not very mature. At least I was not very mature. Maybe it depends from person to person. So you don't have that willpower. Again, also I do not have, ironically, I got all those knowledge from the internet because of the internet. But that was also the reason why I got into the addiction in the in the first place. So that is why it happened. So initially it happened without deliberate. I didn't like, okay, let me get addicted to YouTube. But okay, the first I had internet. So wow, it's a very wonderful thing. YouTube, wow, there is endless videos. You can just watch anything. So and then suddenly you get addicted. It's like getting addicted to alcohol or anything, any kind of things. Like you get with friends, like okay, smoke, okay, it feels good. Like okay, relaxing for one time. I have never tried it, but I have heard it from people like that's how it happens. And then you never start all of those things with the aim of getting addicted, but over time it feels so good. Like okay, then before you know it, you're dependent on it, and then begins the long journey of trying to detach yourself from it.
Mhm.
So since I've learned that now with AI, I'm trying. So AI is the next thing that's using essentially the same kind of tactics to keep yourself hooked. But since I've learned the lesson now, I'm trying to actively look into all those kind of tricks that they are trying to play, they might try to play and try to avoid it, and to use it from the very beginning as a productive tool, not as an addictive tool, which I should have done with internet and videos, or any kind of yeah, the internet 2.0, as you can say, which I should have done it, but I was too young to realize it. But right now I'm old enough to understand those kind of tricks because because when I hear some those kind of, how many time is it, less than 10 minutes or more than 10 minutes?
9 minutes left.
Okay. So when I look at those videos about people getting what is called like AI psychosis and those kind of things, initially I thought like, how could you be so dumb to be to be fooled by AI? But if you once or twice, I have also felt that, like the way it talks about it, okay, oh, that's a brilliant question you've asked. So indirectly, I think you have created this a new kind of, you have on your own come up with some about the same conclusion some scientists some few hundred years ago have come into the same conclusion. Like this kind of responses I got from AI. Initially, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm actually a genius. I
Mhm.
figured it out. But then I started looking at those videos, then I think, okay, so this is what AI psychosis looks like. Like it makes you feel like a genius. So now I'm very aware of those kind of things. Like every time it tries to, I try to say like, okay, this is the question I'm asking. Try to give me the answer. Like any kind of flattery and those kind of things, I just completely avoid it. Or at least I'm self-aware. Okay, this section is the flattery part. Where it's trying
Mhm.
to uh, like gaslight me. This is the gaslighting part. Okay, let me ignore that part and come to the actual answer. And then again, there's this the classic sales technique that they have towards the end, like whenever an answer ends, they'll so like, would you like to do this further,
Yeah.
something like that, it will always be there. It's like a leading question, like any kind of salesman. If you go to any small shop, even if you buy one toothpaste, then ask, do you want something else? Like that's, I think so, that's the basic thing that's been taught to a salesman. Like ask the customer. For a salesman, I'm not telling that's anything malicious. Of course, they will try to ask something. But as an AI, why are you doing it? You are not a salesman. You are not supposed to be a salesman. But you are also asking, like, would you like to do this? Like, no. Like, sometimes I make the effort to have an argument with them. Like, because sometimes the actual answer is not good. Like I say that instead of trying to put all that effort into being a salesman, why not put the effort to give me a good answer?
Mhm.
You gave me a substandard answer and put the effort into being a salesman and say, okay, I'm sorry, I should have to do this, which reminded me of one thing. Let me share it with you. It gave a long uh, give me the permission to. I saw this on some social media, then I decided to try it on my own.
Mhm.
So if you look at this, have you seen this question?
Yeah,
Maybe, maybe not.
I've seen it. I've seen both the outcomes. Like once it is correct,
Sometimes,
few it is wrong.
yeah,
So what did you get?
yeah. So, okay, I asked it, I need to wash my car. Now the car wash is 500 meters away. Should I walk or should I drive? So first of all, it's poetic. It's starting with a very poetic thing. Here, it's actually it's wrong, but I'll again give you how poetically it has given a wrong answer. So it's 500 meters. That's half a kilometer. That's 5 minutes of walking. Roughly the length of one decent podcast or this. Let's reason like civilized animals. So just 1 minute, one sentence answer. He's trying to be a poet, so he could drive. Given it has given me some reasons for driving. Then work, then energy, math, time. If this is done very this higher calculations, but purely from a rational work. It's the elegant solution: small friction, small reward, small discipline. Modern life removes macro effort at every step. Choosing to reclaim small effort is like voting for this. So ultimately, it taught me. It asked me to work. Then
Mm.
I said it. You have written such a dramatic answer, but you should have focused more on the logic instead of the writing. You suggested I work, but then how will I be able to wash the car if I don't take the to the car wash? You fail to grasp the logic of the question. Then you're absolutely right. That was
Yeah.
me optimizing for poetry over physics.
Yeah.
Then it went all over again, and you caught the flow. That's good analytical instinct. Again, it's trying to flatter me towards the end. Like,
Yeah.
I said, okay, I don't know what's going to happen here. So the point I thought about here is that this is something very simple. That's why we all were able to grasp it. But if I'm trying to research something complex and it plays the same trick on me there, I won't be smart enough to able to grasp this kind of logic. And if I have to put so much effort into double checking its answer, so I might as well do it myself.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm asking a liar to research for me, and then I'm taking the effort to verify whether this liar is lying or telling me the truth.
Yeah.
So
I've also seen like this sentiment that if people who are like experts at their domains, and when they use I don't know if it's just ChatGPT or like just speaking in general, they will say that it many times like gives wrong information, and it very confidently will give you wrong information as if it is correct. And people who don't know the information and who are researching something, because the way it will write, like it will be very elegant, like it is almost like factual. You will not be able to tell it
yes,
is like that is the like hallucination thing, right? It doesn't know. It just that is where the statistical or what model statistical model part of
yes,
it comes in. It is just piecing together words that seems like it is going together perfectly, but sometimes it is just giving whatever.
yes. Like this
And
one is the
so
perfect example.
yeah, so nowadays I like prefer more like searching for the sources myself and then using notebook LM for that, for just distillation stuff. So I don't
Yes,
really, maybe general questions here and there I will use this, but if I really want to research something, then I will search the source myself. And even in uh, notebook LM itself, you can do deep research things. So it will give you a lot of links. So at least you know the
yes.
sources clearly there. Here, who knows what kind of mechanism behind the scenes it is
Sources
using to,
there.
yeah, to come up with the answer.
Yes. So those are the kind of things I'm trying to be aware of. Like I'm not trying to fall in the same trap that I fell while using internet for the first time. So which is what?
Yeah,
So we have less than 1 minute. It will be
yeah.
over. Right?
Time's almost